Greetings and welcome to another episode of The Skill Gap. My name is Stallion. You might know me as Stallion Sama or simply as the self-proclaimed Stallion of the FIFA community. Joining me as usual is a man of many talents from PES to FIFA. Persian, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. If you're here watching it from Twitch, you'll have known that, I lost first round of the draft, but it's okay. We move on because we want to look into the future. We want to look forward in terms of FIFA 20 because today we're going to talk about what we want to see in FIFA 20, what we already know in FIFA 20, a bit of a continuation of the video I made when I went to LA and I tested it out in EA Play. And that's it. We're going to talk about what we want to see from gameplay to game modes. So let's just start it off with gameplay. Persian, I know you saw my video, so based on that, what's something from gameplay that you want to see?
Let me go back a bit, like to last week, because I found another quote. I was doing some research because we have people tweeting at us after that podcast about what were they saying about what we thought about kickoff goals and last minute goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. Even though my stance on everything is what we can prove, et cetera, but I found some interesting quotes that shine some light on the situation. So I wanted to read that for you. Well, this is from FIFA creative director Matt Pryor, and this is from FIFA 17, mind you. So he said, some error in some of the algorithms for trapping the ball. That's inbuilt throughout the game, but that's all measured on an individual level. It doesn't take into account, oh, this is 1-0 in the 90th minute. Let's give this guy some more error. It's very much individual. And as a result, it can happen at any time. That's part of the beauty of the sport. That can be frustrating at times, but that's the nature of football. So this is already what I completely disagree with, because I agree in normal football, that's the beauty of sport, right? But if you want to make a game and you want to make a competitive game, you can't have those things of RNG in the game because obviously it should be mostly input driven. Mm-hmm. So that was an issue I had with that. And then he goes on, he gives an example of how that happens in real football. But the most important thing is, he says, he says a lot of that is then also stat based. Some of it is fatigue based. If a guy is dead on his feet, he's going to make a mistake. There are a lot of things that factor into that make it happen. But fundamentally, that's football. So he says, you concede last minute goals because your players are tired and they make mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. Well, this is an interesting question. What do you think fatigue, what should be the role of fatigue in FIFA?
Yeah, the thing is, I think it's one of those things that's never going to be translated perfectly from the real world into the game. At least, no, actually, I would say I would never want to translate it perfectly because fatigue in real life is dynamic because, we start off Ultimate Team and Messi's got 60 stamina the whole year, his base card, right? But, Messi in real life, he goes through ups and downs. He might be really fit come Christmas time. Then he has a low period in March and then it goes up again in the summer right before the finals of tournaments and stuff like that. Especially someone like Ronaldo is someone who arguably gets less fatigued as the season goes by. But even ignoring that, I think fatigue in FIFA should be something that is very simple. Basically, the way I would like to see it is that there is nothing other that's relevant other than the bar of stamina that you have when you're sprinting and how full it is. So basically, the only thing that changes throughout the game is that it gets emptier and emptier and emptier, and there's no more added touches in the 90th minute compared to the third minute. The only difference is that obviously, in the 90th minute, you're a lot closer to this bar emptying out. So, maybe say you have Mbappe in the 90th minute, you put him through on goal, and he's sprinting. He's gonna empty that bar either faster, or it's just gonna be so close to emptying that he's out of stamina, and that's it, right? I don't want to see added touches or anything.
So you're basically saying it should only account for sprinting.
Sprinting, sprinting and just speed of movement overall, right? I don't want to see.
I agree.
Hunching over animations, because then you take away what we talked about last week when you brought the composure stat and how it takes away from the user input, right?
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's like the issue I have with how they think about certain situations, right? Because they're trying to, well, is what they say. They try to balance like real life football and a game, and I think there's like a distinction between the two because you can't make real life football happen in a game. You're not controlling Messi on the real life pitch. There's not a guy with a controller trying to control Messi on the real life pitch. So whatever he does are his decisions. So if he makes a mistake, that's his mistake on the pitch. So if you want to translate that to a video game, it just doesn't make any sense. You can't like bring in RNG. Like you're the guy that's controlling Messi, so all your mistakes should translate on the pitch. But whatever, what I did think about like was kickoff, and kickoff is provable because they tried to patch it in FIFA 18. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Like
I do remember that.
like halfway through the game. So obviously there is a problem with, well, I don't even think we needed to prove this because it's pretty obvious like that kickoff is an issue in the game. But the fact that they tried to like patch it and acknowledge it just shows that it is still an issue because it still happens. And I think even Nepenthes had like made a video like last year about the shape of your team. Like your team's like shaped weirdly at kickoff, and it becomes more narrow, I think. So if you had like a wide like formation, you could really just expose like the flaws of like how your team is shaped during kickoff. So all these issues, I agree that kickoff like is an issue and is in the game. And fatigue, if based on their explanation, that would explain a lot, but that's more of a decision making in their coding, right? Because they have algorithms for that, and that's a big issue. If they don't change that, that's an issue that will always stay as well, like the last minute goal. And obviously, it's intentional because it's in their decision making.
Yeah. Before I get
So yeah,
into kickoff, because a lot of people ask me about it, like, did you see kickoff in FIFA 20? Funny thing about Messi, is that the year in my opinion, he stopped being an elite player, like top quality, is FIFA 18. That's the year where they made his dribbling more realistic and less sort of, they pretty much gave him his own dribbling animation. He's one of the few with it. And so ever since they did that, he just turned to trash, as opposed to FIFA 17 where, maybe he didn't look as Messi-esque as he does now, but FIFA 17 was so basic that if you were a short player with high agility like Messi, good dribbling stats, you knew that you would have more touches per dribble on the ball, therefore have more opportunities to turn with the left stick, therefore he felt better. And so it was just user input. And then the better users would be able to get as many touches out of a dribble.
agreed.
And then the moment they made it more animation based, and so they just sacrificed touches for animations, and they sacrificed basically arcadey for realism, it turned into something that's completely not user driven. But in terms of kickoff, if they obviously, the response that you could get from an EA representative is always like, well, we did address it last year, but it's just the stats on our end prove that it's not a problem this year. But for sure last year, I remember it was a huge issue. They patched it, I think, at least once. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe someone in the chat knows if it was like more than once. But this year, I still think it's a factor. Definitely nowhere near as last year. Last year was actually like just crazy. But it's hard to prove. And in terms of those who asked me, is it in FIFA 20? I can't tell, man. I didn't see a single kickoff when I was there, but at the same time, we'll see when the game goes online. We'll see when the game is on foot, and then we add delay, and then I'm sure something will come about.
I think the only way you can really test like broken mechanics and broken things in the game is by like playing it on a massive scale. Obviously, that's what testing all is about. Like if you play like 4 or 5 games, you're not gonna see every issue in the game. So yeah.
Yeah, and I played I'd say I played between 15 and 20 games. I can't remember. It's been days at least. But obviously and that's already enough for me to like decide a lot of opinions, as I did in my video. But in terms like you said, you need mass. First of all, you won't know anything until the game is released and millions play it. But even then, the best you can do is play for days on end. And I just haven't had that opportunity, at least yet. But in the general gameplay sense, I think even though I know it won't happen because I've played FIFA 20, guys, FIFA 20, we're going closer and closer towards a FIFA that's trying to be as realistic as possible. I think the vision on EA's end is to make a simulator that's extremely realistic looking, at least, that looks almost identical to real football. So that kind of goes against my wish for a return of an arcadey FIFA, in the sense that the ball moves quickly and accurately, sort of like FIFA 17, where like the ball pings everywhere. It almost looks like ping ball, but at the same time, it's less ping pongy than FIFA 19. I don't know if that makes sense.
That does, like, yeah, it does. The thing is, like, you're trying to have a faster game, you mean, instead of a slower game.
Yeah, and the irony is that, like, FIFA 17, FIFA 16, 50, like, all these games, you had less degrees to which you could turn. So obviously dribbling is more advanced today, but it's, for some reason...
Worse. It feels worse. Yeah.
Whereas FIFA 17 kind of did feel ahead of its time, but obviously now dribbling is better in the sense that you can turn better, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same.
If you remember, like the first day, like we had our hands on FIFA 19, that's the thing that was like most like triggering for me. I was like, it's just too slow. The dribbling just feels like really bad, especially compared to like 18 and 17. It just felt off. Like something fell off. I couldn't really know what it was. And most people were like, yeah, it's okay. Maybe it's because it's a new game or whatever. But throughout the year, people noticed like the dribbling, like what you always call the hunching over, right?
Yeah.
Like the dribbling, the hunching over, and like the whole people hitting you in the back and you losing your balance and like tackling you from behind and all that sort of stuff comes into play there. So you just feel less in control over the ball. And like the attacking play just fell off, man. Like it just didn't feel good in this game. That
goes to show how you can never like look at an individual aspect of the game and compare it to the previous game, because like I just said 2 minutes ago, you have more degrees to which you can move in the newer the FIFA gets. Yeah. But the reason dribbling feels worse, even though technically it is better or more advanced,
it should be better anyway.
Yeah, it's just the surrounding factors, the offensive AI runs that do not happen. So you're kind of like dribbling for no reason. You felt like the composure stat mattering more and more with every FIFA, where all of a sudden your player starts feeling worse. The new dribbling animations where it's less user input and more just the game being the game. So all these factors, man, they just play in.
All right, on to now that we've closed off last week. On to FIFA 20 then. What are we looking for here? What are we trying to talk about first? Did you want to talk about the gameplay or the menu aspects, or
let's go gameplay first, right? I mean, obviously, like I said, I would like a fast arcadey FIFA, but I already know it's not happening. It's not happening. We're moving towards a slower pace game. Hopefully it speeds up a lot, and I'm sure it will once we get used to it and once foot cards come out. So that's that. But, a big thing that's happening, and it's a good thing, is that jockeying, right? Pressing L2 in defense. When you start jockeying and you have a low center of gravity, finally it feels a lot better. So
in the build you played.
Yeah.
You should always like have the disclaimer that like in the build you played, it was like that, but like it could change. Like it could be night and day when the game comes out.
True. So I guess even for, we might still have a faster game. Who knows? So yeah, again, in the build I played, the jockeying felt phenomenal, and that's amazing because I've been complaining about this for a long, long time. I expected this to be addressed for FIFA 19 because it was abysmal in 18 as well, but finally, I guess better late than never, and we're going to have it, at least if it's consistent with the build I played. The thing is that I still think it wasn't good enough. And maybe that's something to do with passing, and maybe it's just an issue in my head. I don't know. Do you feel like this is something you would also want if you decided to return to FIFA?
The jockeying, you mean?
Yeah, just like when you're jockeying.
100%. Like all, like not even just jockeying. I'm not satisfied with that. Like the whole defensive way, like the whole way of defending in FIFA currently should be overhauled, basically, like the nutmegs, like name it, dude, like all the ways, like you should be able to intercept the ball, and you should be rewarded for good passing choices, and you should be punished for bad passing choices. Like that's like a given. That's the fundamentals of football. If you don't have that right, you don't have the right football game, in my opinion. So I definitely agree with that. Like there's no doubt about that. And the way it is now, like if it's not in the game, it's going to be a game like FIFA 19. I don't think a lot of people enjoy this game. So yeah, let's hope for the best. Let's hope they definitely do that and definitely have that in the game. What else? Gameplay. Well, if we're talking about gameplay, we can't not talk about whether it's delay, connection, whatever it is, like server related issues, all these things, like the slow part of the game, the inconsistency in gameplay, like, well, you know, like Inception's thing, right? Like the whole gameplay thing. Gameplay needs to be consistent. If it's not, it's gonna be like another tough year, man. Because like you can't keep doing this to the people that buy your game. You can't have a different game every single game you go in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
And this is not to say that I don't think that consistent gameplay is the most important thing, but I heard Kurt once say, and this kind of struck me because I was like, dude, I agree, and I'm worried about this because this is probably going to be the crossroads that we're going to have to face. He said, what would I rather choose? FIFA 19 with consistent gameplay or FIFA 17 with inconsistent gameplay? And he's like, I'd probably pick FIFA 17 with inconsistent gameplay. So I feel like even though they need to solve it, I'm in the same boat, whereas I'm just praying that the core of the game is good, man. I'm praying, and I would...
It kind of depends. It kind of depends on your definition of what gameplay is, right? Because everyone has a different definition. And, like, don't they, like, kind of intertwine with each other as well? Isn't gameplay... Like, what is gameplay? Is it just the connection? Is it specifically just the connection? Or is it, like, the in-game things that happen? Like... Because there's so many like factors we can't really tell. Like, is it the stats or like what's happening here? Because like sometimes he takes this touch and sometimes he takes that touch. Sometimes it feels delayed. Sometimes you're on like ice skates. Like there's so many different factors that no one really knows what exactly is going on, right?
Yeah.
So you can't, like there's something off about the gameplay, but you can't tell what's causing it.
Well, I guess the Inception school of thought is that the inconsistent gameplay is not necessarily related to servers, because he's been advocating.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've heard that.
For him, it's like you log on and you could be playing a different game, whether offline, online, depending match game per game. What I usually experience, and it's like a cloak over this inconsistent gameplay in the core of the game, and this will also be experienced by people who just have delay with the servers, is just server delay in general. So in my opinion, if you experience server delay in general, you don't even get to experience inconsistent gameplay within the core, because there's something so much bigger happening that like how you experience, so there's like two facets to it. So I don't even think I have experienced inconsistent gameplay, because I can't even think I've experienced clean server gameplay, and the times I have, it was so good compared to the usual that I didn't even notice that maybe the core of the game felt off. So yeah, I guess for that we'll see.
I mean, just what you've said, the fact that there are so many different people that experience the game in so many different ways is an issue in FIFA, right? Because like everyone just sees their own issues. It's like so many different flaws within the game that no one has not no one, but like a lot of people have different gripes with the game. And that's what's so interesting, because like everyone has a different experience when it comes to FIFA, and everyone has different experience what's bad about FIFA.
Yeah, and this bites the community in the butt more than ever, because you'll have the guy saying it's server related, and then someone will be there, and instead of being like, maybe you do have server issues, and saying, but if you don't have server issues, it's still inconsistent, he'll be like, no, you're wrong.
Exactly.
When you're actually both right, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a question here. This is pretty interesting in my mind. What is in FIFA 19 that was added in FIFA 19, or what do you love about FIFA 19 that you think should be in FIFA 20?
I mean, if we're talking about gameplay,
anything Anything. Well, yeah, specifically gameplay, but like anything.
All right. In terms of gameplay, I guess that's a really easy choice because you have to go with a big fat and nothing from gameplay. I think, if there was ever, we always had FIFAs when you go from one FIFA to the next and it feels like a completely new genre of FIFA. For me, that would like one of those was 17 to 18. If I could like have a wish, I'd be like, I hope 19 to 20 means that 20 feels like a completely different genre of gaming because I don't want anything we currently have to come back gameplay wise. I mean, menu wise, I honestly think, someone in the chat said that I think they did a good job besides a few promos here and there where I actually felt, I'd say the word for now we'll use is offended. Without getting too much into it, like the Prime Icon Moments one, I thought was too much. But in terms of content, I think they did an insane job with like compared to FIFA 17, and 17 was already almost on crack compared to 16. There's so much stuff happening, but I'm not a content guy. I'm sure like a lot of content people might be cringing at me saying it's good enough, like the same way I cringe at those who say that passing in 19 is good. It happens. I'm not an expert, but if I had to pick one thing, I'd be happy with the content, not gameplay content. I just mean like SBCs and stuff. That stuff was fine for me.
I'd agree. Like the amount of content was good. I don't think the quality was that good though, because if I compare like the SBCs in 18 and even 17, I feel like the value of a lot of these SBC. You had a FIFA 17. The Purple Sun. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was a end stage meta player. Like that was probably maybe the best player in the game, and that card was what, like 200k.
Well, yeah, he was insanely cheap. I remember thinking, wow, 200k, I'll do it, man.
Exactly. Well, when we talk about that guy, do you remember any type of cards like that in FIFA 19? Because every time I looked, which was interesting to me, because there were a lot of like special cards in FIFA 19, which is good. Like I like them to pump out that sort of content for people that are interested in it. But they were a lot of the time like extremely expensive, and I felt like they were more so a coin sink than anything. They were trying to like rinse your cards or rinse your coins for cards that weren't even that special. Maybe like the Ibra one. Like, can you remember how much that one was?
I don't know because I didn't even come close to doing that, but I feel like he might have been between 500k and $1 million flashback Ibra, but I don't know.
Yeah, that Ibra card maybe, okay, but he wasn't even a Prem player or like a major league player, right?
Mm-hmm.
So end of the day, I feel like the value, like throughout the years from 17 to 18 to 19, I felt like SBCs became more of a coin sink than anything. They just had like average cards that were like pretty expensive. And like, I just remember like seeing on Twitter, like a lot of outrage over the prices and like, why are these so expensive? And they never really brought out like something that was like, damn, like what a great card for like super cheap, basically. Right. From what I can remember anyway.
Well, then here's my question to you then. Is it a matter of the SBCs that were released, be it like a flashback Juanfran that was incredible at the start, and I remember I felt bad that I didn't do him because of the lack of right backs, or be it an Ibra or whatever you want, were they not good enough because they just weren't good enough? Or is it more of and I know what my answer is it more of the fact that it's just how FIFA 18 and 19 were? It's just how it is. It's because it's not as user based. What cards you have will change your game because it's so pay to win, in the sense that FIFA 17 may be a reason why so many cards were as useful at the start as they were at the end. Smaldini, aka Smalling.
Yeah.
Just because it's a better game. Like how much?
Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Because I genuinely feel like a card, like I look at David Luiz, right? And I know I've seen it on Twitter, man. A lot of people on Twitter are saying to this day he's still incredible. The flashback David Luiz. Personally, I had to get him out of my team because he was a disaster at a certain point. But I look at that card and I think 84 pace, 90 defending, 88 physical. I mean, I feel like that card would be good until the very last second of 17. The same way I went back on 17 this week, and my right back until the last second was 84 rated Inform Florenzi. You play with an 84 rated right back right now in FIFA 19. Good luck. Good luck to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing that like makes me think that way. And I see people saying in the chat that Ibra was like 200k. Well, that's good value. To be fair, that's good value. Then maybe my memories jogged here. But if it's 200k, that's a good SBC card. But the thing is, that one card doesn't really equate to like. I want that to happen a lot. I want FIFA to incentivize. Well, not even incentivize you. I want FIFA to give you options to have good cards for not that much coins. I don't want to have to pay 3 million coins to have like a player that can carry my team, right? Like there should be SBCs out there that will help the people that don't have as many coins. So I want that more in FIFA. And if they had a lot of these cards in FIFA 19, great. Then I hope they do it in FIFA 20 too.
What about
that's more my point.
What about, since you're one of the people who sort of started playing less and less after, FIFA 17 ended, 18 you played a little bit, but you were pretty quick to go from a competitive / hardcore player to like, I'll play this like once a week. And now 19 you didn't play at all. What's one thing?
In FIFA 18 I played like 20 games, like 20 games of, I played like 15 games a week in League a week, pretty much.
Right. And then what's one thing that you want to see as game? What's one thing that would bring you back to at least playing like 10 games a week in League a week in terms of gameplay that you want to see?
FIFA 18 wasn't a good game, but it was still playable in the sense that I could have fun on it. And the fun aspect came from the fact that it was still fast paced and dribbling felt decent to good. Passing wasn't good, so even like all those aspects, like passing, defending, was already a bit iffy on that game. So that's what like lured me away from it. If they make the fundamentals correct, like the passing, defending, all that sort of stuff, and like take out the entirely broken things that are in FIFA 19, so the way you score goals, the whole meta about how you score goals, if they take that out, I'll be back on this game. I'll even grind this game.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be rewarded for good football. I just want to play football in a football game. I don't want to do tornadoes. I don't want to do crazy chain like skill moves and shit. I just want to play actual football. I want to pass around. I want to make a good goal. Like, I just don't want broken things in the game, man.
Yeah, and this is what worries me at the end of the day, because on the one hand, I'm really curious to see if FIFA 20 will be liked, and when it comes to its final stage, assuming it follows the same directions and it just gets polished in terms of like at least the build I played, because it's got so many improvements, or the version I played had so many improvements in terms of passing, so many but still nowhere near enough by my standards at least. So many improvements in terms of dribbling responsiveness, but not necessarily speed. Then they brought back pace, which so many people wanted, blah blah blah. But it's slow, so I'm curious to see if you and people like you and Kurt would like enjoy it because of the pace. Like, could you ever see yourself enjoying a slow paced FIFA game?
I don't think so, to be honest. But then again, if you play a game long enough, you get used to the speed, right? So maybe, who knows? But in my mind, I don't think I'd enjoy it that much.
Right. Well,
but I can't tell. Like, it depends. Like, if it's slow and they fix a lot of the other issues, maybe.
Yeah, this is.
It just depends. Like, it's not one thing that really makes you love or hate a game.
Yeah, it's always like the concoction of everything.
Exactly.
This is why at the end of the day, I even told. I remember I was speaking to Tom there, which was a blast because he was behind the Volta game mode and so many other things. And I told him I love so many directions changes you've made, but at the end of the day, like I also said in the tweet, there's something off. There was something off about that FIFA 20 because yes, maybe passing wasn't as assisted and bad decision making in passing was punished more than 19, and maybe the first time shots were nowhere near as good, and so many first time shots where you don't even bother to like to get by the defender in front of you were going out of bounds, and that was exciting. Mm-hmm. But then if you're taking a first-time shot and you're already facing the goal, why are they still flying in? And why are they still flying in even if it's someone like Matip taking that shot? And why are they flying in even if they're mistimed? And why are shots in general from far still flying in? And why were so many chances in the box that I was taking going wide? So like all these things just made me so deflated, because people might think, oh, he loves bashing EA. Man, I was so deflated when I saw that trust me, I would have much rather not have had a tweet that went so viral because I said the game wasn't ready, in my opinion, yet. And just said something more EA shilly, like, yo, this game's lit. I would have much rather be in a position where I had to say that than where I was. I think the decision-making aspect of it is just still not there.
I think end of the day, we all want to love FIFA, right? We all want to love this game. So end of the day, everyone wants a good game. So it's not that you enjoy saying it's not a good game, because that's just going to make your next year even harder. So in that sense, everyone wants FIFA to be good. There's no ill intention here when we say things, the things we say that might come off as negative. The thing is, it's just, these are just like the things how we see them.
Yeah.
You can't change that.
It is unfortunate, but I mean, there's still so much time. I remember last year, the version I played of FIFA 19 was maybe a month and a week, I don't know, really close to release. And I remember, oh my God, this game changed so much in a month. And now we have 3 times that amount. So I'm confident whatever game is played next, I will not recognize it. So hopefully for the best and not for the worst. In terms of game modes, right? I guess let's talk about what we want to see, what we hope, because I know nothing about game modes. I was purely just playing Kickoff. I guess a disclaimer is that both me and you come from like a pretty hardcore background. So, disclaimer that I won't be able to relate to someone else who's a bit more casual, because I remember once I was saying like how for me the casual game mode is draft, and then I realized, damn, there's probably people out there who really struggle to win a draft. So it's like they don't even have that luxury. What I want to see,
even DKT was pretty casual.
Oh yeah, I love that, and there were tons of people who can. So that's the disclaimer. So I'm not trying to sound like an a-hole or anything. It's just sometimes I forget, right? That
it's just our experience.
It's just my experience. That draft is pretty chill, but nonetheless, I do want to see a return of a pretty casual, in the sense that it's like completely open matchmaking. Some sort of mode like that, be it a tournament style mode that would sort of replicate the World Cup mode, but it's just a Champions League, or a DKT, a return of something like that.
That's the thing. I remember in FIFA, 15 definitely, because I played 15 too. There were tournaments, right? Like the tournaments where you could get cards, or where you could win coins. Like they would have tournaments weekly, and sometimes even I think every day. My memory is like, because it's like so long ago, I don't remember exactly. I just remember you had tournaments, and later on they got like DKTs came instead of that, right?
Yeah.
To the weekend league or whatever. So when this game came out, before it came out, they announced rivals. I was like worried, because I remember telling you guys like, this is not a good thing, because the game, if you have a game where pretty much everything you do is ranked, except online single matches aren't ranked, but like no one gives a damn about online single matches. But everything you do that has value, that has like where you can make some coins or whatever, if all of it's ranked, you're gonna sweat pretty much every game, especially for casual players. They're gonna have to sweat a lot of games. So that makes the game pretty unenjoyable, because you don't have a mode where you can just relax, like without like thinking of playing your absolute meta team. You can't really have fun anymore. That makes the game way too stressful, in my opinion. Because I remember I played like a video game called Destiny, which was like a shooter, right? Mm-hmm. And from the start of the game to like midway the game, the matchmaking was open, like everyone, like mostly open anyway. You would just play people that were in your vicinity based on connection mostly. So lobbies were fun. Like sometimes like you would have a bad team. Well, that was 6v6 mostly. So sometimes you would be in a bad team, sometimes you were in a good team. Like it didn't really matter. You would just play to have fun or whatever. And at a certain point, they brought in skill-based matchmaking, where you weren't matched up against the people with the best connections, but you were matched up against your skill bracket, right? And every single game you went in became a sweat fest. Like you would have to sweat your ass off to even like hold your ground, basically. And the problem of it was like the connections became terrible. In a shooter, I would get matched up against streamers in the US because of my skill bracket. So that was pretty much made the game unplayable, and the game just died out after that. Like people didn't want to play it anymore because like no one wants to go into every mode and sweat their ass off. You want to have fun sometimes. And I think in FIFA that like the incentive is good because you still in Rivals, you get good rewards. So people still play it because they want the rewards, right? But I don't think it's really healthy. I think you need like some game modes where you can just relax and not care too much. Even Divisions was still fun, you know? Like even though you had like obviously a rank, you were in Division 1, 2, 3, or 4, you didn't have actual points behind your name. So there wasn't every game the force of like you have to win this game, and you felt like if you lose, it's a catastrophe or whatever.
At least I think the push was like a lot smaller, and the anxiety of messing up didn't last long because the season ended. Okay, you have a new one. You're good.
Exactly. So that's the whole point I'm trying to make. You want to have some casual game modes to take away from the sweatiness of Weekend League and Rivals. If that's all your game like has, that makes it too stressful, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Rivals needs to stay, and it's a great mode, but it should be that absolutely. Mode that you're like, all right, I need to sweat out right now. I need to practice. I need to do this, and I want to go in it right now. But that's
also let me add to that. I want a game mode where it's not server based, because I felt like when you have peer to peer connection, that felt way better to me. Like if I remember, FIFA 17 was FIFA 17 the last one or 18? I think 18 was the last one, right? I felt like peer-to-peer connection from me felt way better than server gameplay.
Yeah, I think
it was just faster. Like it just felt way better.
A lot of people will hate that because there's people who feel better on
sure, and that's fine. I think they both need to be in the game. I think it's really good that Foot Champs is on servers because obviously peer-to-peer brings its own issues, but I definitely think there should be a peer-to-peer mode in the game.
Yeah, I mean that's also a big reason why I love the Divisions up until it existed, because peer-to-peer, man, I would match up against Italians, and that's that. Oh no, obviously every now and then, okay, you get the Italian with really bad internet, he's on Wi-Fi and it sucks, but it was just more responsive. A lag, because I don't really get delay. I just no, I don't really get lag or speed up lag. I just get delay. In seasons, a laggy game would be more responsive than a Foot Champions thing.
For me too. Yeah.
But I guess what I would want to see is like Rivals stays, and then instead of online single matches, you have this casual open matchmaking mode, which could be in a tournament mode, it could be in this mode and that mode, and that's where all your foot swap objectives have to be done. All your what are they? When team of the season players come out and you want to do a team of the season player, that's where they all have to be. I think we need to stop with these win 10 games in Rivals with a Spanish player, because it's too much of a coin sink sometimes. If you're high in Division 1, like it's an actual nightmare. You literally cannot complete things just because it's not worth buying 92 Raul if you don't have a Spanish striker to score with. And you need 92 Raul most of the time, unless you don't want to lose your mind, because trust me, I've lost my mind pretty much for almost all of those modes. So it's just a matter of balance. We're not saying Rivals has to go.
Yeah. No, the Rivals has to stay, because like everyone's always out for a ranked game mode, and I think it's a really good thing. But like there needs to be a balance, right? You have to have a casual game and have a ranked game mode. I don't remember, like I haven't played a game where there was only ranked game modes anyway. And I'm not counting online single matches, because that really doesn't count in this sense, in my opinion. So yeah, I think if they add that in the game, if they bring back or if they bring back Divisions, I'd be happy with that.
We didn't mention Foot Champions. Like, what do you think about it? Because I know some people don't really care. Some people are like, it needs to go. What do you think?
I don't know, man. Like this is a tough one. If it goes, they have to have an alternative, a really good alternative, and I don't have one. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. So as it is, I would keep it in the game. I think the rewards, like they kept, like every year they kept dumbing down the rewards, and they kept making it less and less, in my opinion. So people that like got top 100, they don't get minimums anymore, like a minimum rating, right? They can pack any team of the week, which gives them a lot of garbage. Like Top 100 packs would be really bad in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I would only keep it as a mode to make coins because it's by far the best mode to make coins. I would completely take out because I care about competitive. Not everyone does, but I do care about competitive. I think they did a good thing in the sense that it was only relevant for competitive until you were verified. Like once you got your 27, essentially for competitive, it didn't matter. I think that was a step in the right direction. I think I would move that and find a way to find that threshold to where you become verified and add that into rivals anyways, because it's ranked and like it just makes sense. Maybe you have a certain skill rating where you cut off and like now you're verified, and once you reach a skill rating you can be there. But even then I could see the problems. I think they need to, I don't know, man. Foot Champions is like an infuriating mode. I never really thought about it too much, but when I hear people say that it's like an extremely stressful mode and like the game count and you lose a game and it matters so much, I can see why that could have like a negative impact on someone's.
The thing is, if we talk about like actual competitive and actual like fairness in competitive, I think as soon as you get verified, you should, like in the qualifying things, right? In the qualifying rounds, you should have the full team. Everyone should be able to have the same teams. Yeah. Like if you don't have that, there's no fair game.
Yeah. Either that or make such good restrictions that like it doesn't even, you can get to that pretty quickly if you're a verified caliber player. But
that's still not fair. You're trying to look for like a compromise. And if you want a fair competitive mode, there should be no compromises. There should always be a level playing field. That is like the basic aspects of like having a skill based mode, basically.
Yeah, 100%. I think most competitive players would agree that whatever they do, they need to announce it hella fast, because imagine sinking in 10 grand because your club paid 10 grand for your FIFA points only to find out that it was extreme overkill and you all got the teams, or maybe the requirements are so low that like you don't need all those points.
That's like the crazy part, right? You just said 10 grand. Like on a lot of people spend more than like, well, a lot of pros anyway spend at least like more than like 1,000 euros or dollars or whatever you want, whatever your currency is, and they still don't have a good team, like the best team in the game. Like imagine spending 1,000 euros on a game that's only viable for a year and you don't have the best team in the game, which is insane to me. I think 1,000 euros is way too much money for a game that goes on for a year. So to be competitive in this game and to actually be a pro, you have to spend that much money. And it just blows my mind how we as a community just think this is normal.
I think, it's an abomination of a quantity to spend for any game. I get sick to my stomach when sometimes I'll enter like a stream of a competitive player and he's got these like 15, 16-year-old kids from wherever he's from, and they're like, yo, what about how much money there, how much money there? And he's like, I think to compete next year, you need to invest at least 5 grand. Like, what? Dude, don't. There's a bit of a tangent. Don't say that, bro. Come on.
Yeah. I criminal, agree. Dude. But that's the thing. Like microtransactions have a place in gaming, but they shouldn't be like the sole way to play this game, right? And that's what I want for FIFA 20, by the way. Take out fitness, first of all. Well, they just fill packs. They reduce the coins you can make, unless you have like a fitness team. But that takes away from the whole ultimate team thing, because you don't have one team anymore. You have to have 2 to be able to rotate them. Take out fitness. Take out all these things that are just coin sinks. Take out all these things. Make playing the game, make it a viable way to actually make your ultimate team, to make the best team in the game. You don't have to have the best team in the game at the start, but make just playing the game, not trading, not menu content, just playing the game a viable way. At least if you reach a certain level, make that a viable way to have the best team in the game towards the end. That is currently not possible. Like you have to trade if you don't spend money.
Yeah, you have to.
There's no other way. You will not make enough coins just by playing, unless you're some sort of god that can, like, with a gold team, get top 100 every. But that's not going to happen.
No.
So I want, and I realize how unrealistic it is because the way FIFA is set up right now, but that doesn't make me want it less, right? I think there should be a way to grind, especially because it's like a year-long game. Why do you have to spend that much money in a year-long game to have experience?
Yeah, it's. I mean, why? The why is obviously because like it makes a ton of money, but it's obviously not what I would want as a player, or I'm sure anyone would want. But I mean, we're already talking about game enjoyment. That was like the last section, and two of the points were that you said were literally my points, which is like removing fitness and then earning cards through gameplay. But I will say this about earning cards through gameplay: we need a game. We need a good game for this to be viable because I want a game where you can earn cards through gameplay, but at the same time, I don't want these cards to do it all for you. Like, I honestly hate me for this, but I prefer the days when if the person who was holding the controller didn't have the ability to unlock the potential of a card, would say, I don't feel a difference between triple informed Neymar and normal Neymar. Like, I miss those days more because, like we said earlier, it was all user input. As opposed to the game,
wasn't all user, but more
user input. Now we're at a point where, like, dude, not to get elite, you need right now in July, whatever it's called, July Weekend League. You need all the prime Hullits and Ronaldo and all these guys. And back in the day, dude, I remember doing a 10K Weekend League in FIFA 17 with like Gold Ben Arfa and all these cheap gold players, and I remember I stopped halfway through, but I was like 20 wins and 2 losses, and I had 18 games left. Dude, I can't even do that anymore playing civilized football with my God Squad, man. It's just not possible anymore, and I need it to be... For earning cards through gameplay for me will only make sense when the gameplay returns to rewarding, good decision-making.
Agreed.
But... an underrated thing that I want to see next year in terms of game enjoyment, which wouldn't really fall under modes or gameplay, is something that I made a video about. So if you haven't seen that video, cheeky plug, go watch it. But basically, camera angles, man. Camera angles, for the love of God. I call it camera angles, call it new stadium. I play telebroadcast, 20 height, 0 zoom, in StubHub Center, and it's absolutely glorious to see. I have that same setting for all the modes. Obviously, I step into the Foot Champions, arena and all that, whatever, and FEWC Stadium looks awful. It is flat. It looks like someone slapped my head into the screen. I lost all the depth that I had a moment ago in the previous stadium, and it's awful. You need way more customization, way more options, and they should be uniform in all stadiums. Like, especially if the problem with making it uniform in all stadiums is that you've programmed a real life stadium, you have licenses, you have to follow the things. At least the FEWC stadiums, which literally does not exist in the world. There's no license you break. You should make it so if the back wall from where the camera comes from is what's blocking you from just delete it. Delete the back stands and just have the camera free-forming, floating thing that you can put wherever you want. Especially if you're forced to use, because I miss the days when you could use whatever stadium we wanted in, regardless of shadows, in Foot Champions. But I need that. It's not even a matter of if. I need it.
I agree. I mean, if they can make you have different kits than what your opponent is seeing, they should be able to do that, in my opinion. So, yeah, I agree.
Great. Do you have any other... game enjoyment things?
I don't remember if this was in FIFA, but I think it was. I want like a training ground where basically what you see is like the normal, like the way you play a game, right? When you're playing a game and you have like a normal training ground. I don't want the arena, what it is now, third person thing where you just follow the camera, like you follow one player with your camera. I want a full team. I want a full team to be able to practice things, to be able to practice my shooting angles without anything, like just a training ground. That's all I want. That shouldn't even be hard to put in the game. And I think it wasn't. It definitely was in PES, but I think it was in FIFA as well. And I'm not sure, but I think they just took it out for some reason. And I have no idea. I never heard anything. I don't know if someone can in the chat can say this.
I think FIFA 2004 had it. I think so. I remember that FIFA quite well. had like new weird free kicks and stuff. But I remember that if that didn't have it, maybe I'm just mixing it up, because from like FIFA 2001 to like 2008, I played both PES and FIFA simultaneously, so they might be blurring together. But PES definitely had it. You could do 3v2, 3v1, 10v1.
You could have a full 11v11 in a match. You could just put them there. You could put 11v1 in it. You can just set it up whichever way you want it, and you could do free kicks in that mode. It didn't matter. You could do anything you want without any restrictions that you had to play this skill game or you had to play that skill game. Like, that nonsense wasn't a thing. You could literally, it was free. Like the creative mode in Fortnite. You could do whatever you want. Like, there should be a mode like that where you can just practice your things. Like, practice whatever you want, basically.
100%. Agreed.
I hope they bring that back, because like this whole arena thing is like so nonsense. Like, if I'm not playing pro clubs or whatever, or like I'm not even pro clubs, that's a bad example. When you're looking at third person and you're practicing things, that's a different thing than when you're doing it in game. So I don't know why that's a thing.
Even the skill games don't even allow you to change camera. You're pretty much stuck on the classic camera, and like it's similar enough to telebroadcast where it doesn't bother me too much. But if you play co-op, skill games are not going to look anything like what you play in game. And before, there was actually a feature to do that, and I just didn't know. But as far as I know, you can't even change your camera angle for skill games. So, I mean, so much for a skill game. You're not even looking at the same perspective anymore. It's like telling a professional player to practice with a headset that looks at his body from like a third like from the sky. You know, it just doesn't make sense. But you know, we went through modes, enjoyment, gameplay. I guess there's one thing left to do, and that is the chat questions. Are there any questions that you want to be added to the podcast?
I've seen a couple. Well, we were doing our own thing, so I'm gonna go scroll back here.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Sleek, who said composure should be user based, not add-in based. Yes, we said that earlier. 100%.
You said that last week as well. Brad's88 said, "What are your thoughts on EA needing feedback from Inception on gameplay? How is it possible that the staff currently there are not aware of these issues from testing playing them?" So he's probably saying, like, why would they need his input? Because it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah. So why would they need? I mean, we don't know. We don't know. You're assuming that they don't know either. Maybe they just wanted to. Number one,
no, he's trying to say they should know what the issues are, because everyone. I'm assuming that's what he means. Plays FIFA, obviously experiences that gameplay is inconsistent. So.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "What are your thoughts on them needing the feedback then?"
My thoughts on them needing the feedback is that, I mean, it's like, because we know Inception's side of the story, right? And how can you say this? Basically, you have to understand as well, the team is not the same group of people. Inception has often said that, you know, it's hard for me to speak for someone else, but the guy that wouldn't believe in what he said, Inception says is not there anymore, right? So first of all, it's a new team altogether. Second of all, we don't know that they don't know the solution. Maybe they just wanted to amend the previous bad experience Inception had previously. But again, it's hard for.
I don't even think they went to him for a solution. I think he went there to specifically show them the instances where the gameplay was inconsistent. Well, that's what I got from the video anyway. Once come on and explain exactly what the thing was, but I think it's a good thing, because he obviously knows what he's so he knows like what bad gameplay is and the difference between good and bad gameplay. So it's not a bad thing that they invited him. It's a bad thing it's taken them so long.
Yeah, I think the problem, because now that the process has started, I fear that we might not even see a solution until like FIFA 21.
Yeah, it's possible.
And that's depressing.
And the thing is, them inviting him doesn't even mean they can make it better. Like he basically just showed them what the issue is. They might not be able to solve it. That's the real thing that really bothers. It's not his responsibility to fix the issue. It's just he just showed them the problem.
FCP Swift above, he said, "Oh, and by the way, why are there no competitive modes outside of Foot? No Ultimate Team, no pay to win?" I mean, the answer why is, I'm guessing they just want everyone to be playing Foot. So it used to be head to head in the overall 85 mode, which I think I know a lot of people hate that mode, but coming to think of it, I think we all would have loved it this year because you know what that means: 85 overall mode, 3-star skills, no croqueta, so that solves a lot of problems already. No Il Tornado as well, but that's essentially why, because foot is the main mode, right? They're trying to drive the Germany as well. Is like, if you really look at it, it's a way to drive single player players into foot because you get a foot card into it. And so maybe we'll see, maybe next year they'll do the same with Volta, that there's aspects of it that intertwine with foot because they want to get people, the pro clubs guys who are probably going to be trying Volta, to go into foot as well.
Saiyan NZ says, guys, your thoughts about matchmaking Div Rivals versus online seasons? Well, it's better to ask you because you've played way more Rivals.
I mean, there's other. What is there to say? I mean, in online. Wait, he said Rivals versus
your thoughts
what?
about matchmaking Rivals versus online seasons. So I'm guessing divisions is when you.
So last year's season. I mean, obviously it's last year's season. The thing is, the gap between Division 1 and 2 and 3, which is what you could match back last year if you were in Division 1, is so much bigger than what it is now if you get higher. Guess Rivals matchmaking has made it so that if you get to like the high Division 1, you have a high chance of playing the sweaty game that maybe you'd find one every 2 seasons last year in divisions. I mean, I don't think the matchmaking is a problem. I think the problem is the lack of other modes. Oh wait, there's a new one. Do you think bad gameplay is good for the company to make you want better cards and buy more points?
Well, that is a theory. I mean, there's people that have that theory. The theory is, I think, that it's intentional. That they have bad gameplay so you can stress out over it and like get angry. The angriness will result to you buying packs so you get better players, so you maybe think, okay, I can like play better so the bad gameplay doesn't affect me. Like there's people that say that, but like, I mean, it's hard to prove, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. That feels like
there's
nothing to back it up.
Exactly. It's like a conspiracy theory that goes around. I agree. Do you think someone said they should make restrictions on squad quality during weekend league? Do you agree with that?
I
mean, that would take away of the whole ultimate team aspect. If you can't use your ultimate team weekend league, I think a lot of people would be annoyed about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just comes down to making for that aspect of it, because if we're just talking general weekend league, it's not all competitive based. I think no, I wouldn't want restrictions. I just want a game where it doesn't matter if my opponent has if I'm like significantly better than the guy in front of me, it should be easy snacks. The same way it was easy snacks in the summer of FIFA 17 if I had with my 10K team to win games, dude.
PL02PL said, would you guys restructure champs rewards? If so, how?
Bring back whatever they were doing in FIFA 17 in terms of and also add monthlies on top of what we had. Yeah. When I said that, I remember, I don't want the anxiety of having to play monthly. But you have what you have now, and then you add monthlies on top. So, like, why not, right? Because at that point, you're kind of admitting that you just don't want others to have better stuff than you. Like, you should get what you played for.
I agree with Ali Wiki as well. He said Elite 2 needs buffing. I completely agree with that.
Oh, yeah. Elite 2 is so bad, man.
What do you get? Like 30K or something?
30, exactly the same as Elite 3, but 30 extra K. It's awful.
Yeah, that's a terrible, terrible incentive.
They should basically do 2 Elite packs for Elite 2, and then 3 or 4 Elite packs for Elite 1, I think. Especially if they keep it like this, where Elite packs are just awful anyways.
Thoughts on 96-hour weekend league window? I mean, I don't think it would change that much, except for the fact that you have people that play at the end of it, right? The famous Sunday Warriors, like that'll just go like one step further. They'll be Monday Warriors at that point.
I mean, they're already Monday. They've already evolved to become Monday morning Warriors now, right? So they're like cutting it close. I think
Tuesday morning Warriors.
Yeah, I think it's too much, man. I think it's too much. I just think, again, I think just a better game will make it less stressful, because 40 games of another game felt like less than 30 of this game, right? Let's start with making the game better, and then we can actually have a better understanding of how much is too much. All right, great. Well, Persian, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And as usual, guys, this time we had the social media ads right on screen. So Twitch or YouTube, wherever you're watching from, follow us both. And I guess until next time, peace out.
Peace.